Hello everyone, I'm Luca82 and today I'm gonna guide you through my Toxic Rain Pathfinder. I decided to make this guide to showcase how I play my Toxic Rain since it's very different to many other people on PoE Ninja, and I often get PM'd why I chose something over what others have chosen. So let's first get through this map quickly so you see how effectively good this build can get once you min-max the stuff as I did. So as you can see, quick beach map, everything dies in a second. And first we will dive into some gear. Of course, it's a bow build, Toxic Rain, so I'm using a ticket bow which has biggest attack speed base, and I have socketed gems, damage over time, attack speed, and multi-modded support gems and chaos damage over time multi. I have socketed support gems over bow gems because I use Empower, which benefits from that, and then Empower gives even more levels to my Toxic Rain, which is, as you can see, level 30. Then I also use Vicious Projectiles, Swift Affliction, Void Manipulation, and Mirage Archer, which are the best gems since this build doesn't really have a lot of gems you can choose between, so these are the pretty standard ones. Also, I have a AoE per quality since we don't benefit from physical damage that quality usually gives. Then helmet, which has standard life resistances. Nearby enemies have -9 chaos res, which is nice to have in case you're not afraid to get a bit closer to boss. So he has -9 chaos res and dies a bit faster. Then crafted AoE for that +1 on my malevolence and summon skitter bots that I have in this helmet socketed. And then enchant, Toxic Rain deals 40% increased damage over the +1 arrow enchant, because +1 arrow is actually not really that good since it only increases AoE and doesn't really give single target, only makes overlapping harder, so I wouldn't really take that one if you have the opportunity to choose. Then let's go into my amulet. It's just a standard +2 chaos dot multi with some life. This is a pretty perfect amulet with corruption as an anoint, which is 20% effect of wither, which helps with single target since we have wither setup as well, which can be easily crafted if you get a dexterity +1 base and then slam augment chaoses on it. Then my Maloney's mechanism, a quiver of my choice. It has nice life, it has some attack speed, and the most important part of it is trigger a socketed bow skill when you attack with the bow, which means whenever I attack with my Toxic Rain, I also shoot my Frenzy, Ensnaring Arrow, and GMP. So because of this, I always have Frenzy charges, which give me attack speed. I always have Ensnaring Arrows shooting, which slow down the unique monsters, rare and normal monsters, which makes me have bigger survival and just a nice quality of life. Then my rings. First one, a ruby ring, but it has an important synthesized implicit. You gain onslaught for 4 seconds on hit. Pretty good, but not easy to get. It makes you have onslaught all the time, which is obviously very nice to have. Then it's simple. You can just, as you can see, some strength, some life, some attack speed. It also has non-channeling skills have minus total mana. Since my mana cost is 38, we lower it to 27, which is a bit better since our mana pool is only 90, so we can shoot longer and easily sustain mana easier. Second ring is increased maximum life, implicit, so Vermilion ring with strength, attack speed, life gained on hit, which is very good. Makes you survive in some situations. Then I have a curse on the ring, despair on hit, which is pretty nice. Some people use flask, but I would say that the flask has too low radius, so I think on hit is a lot better. Also prefix crafted increased damage, which obviously just pure damage. Then I use Carcass Jack, something everyone uses. I tend to get a Carcass Jack which has at least 46% AoE and damage, but you know, goal is to go as high as possible. And then I have reduced chaos damage taken because of my glorious vanity, so this is pretty nice actually, but we'll get into that a bit later. So in my Carcass Jack I have a totem setup. Many use Wither, but I use Withering Touch, which does same thing, but since I use Ballista Totem and Toxic Rain, they get life gained on hit since they attack, so they survive longer. I also have Calling Strike, which in some situations helps. Like, example, doing Sirus fight, you just put down the totems, they attack, and at around 10%, depends on how fast the totem hits compared to my other damage, the boss instantly dies, and it's pretty nice quality of life. Then I have Wall Grace just for some chance to dodge attack and spells. Gloves, damage over time, you can get chaos damage over time also, attack speed, life. Then a nice craft, increase damage during any flask effect. Since we are a Pathfinder, our flask uptime is all time, since as you can see they last a long time, and you have them refill themselves all the time. As you can see, they're filling up as we speak, even if I'm not killing anybody. Then the belt, chaos damage, max life, increased max life, some resistances. On belt you kinda just want to slap as much resistances as you can, and then a nice chaos damage from Hunter mod is also nice. I use Stygian Vice so I can put Hypnotic, Eye Jewel with life and phasing, which is also nice quality of life. Phasing can sometimes save you. Also you can get Onslaught here if you cannot get the ring, which is pretty rare. Boots again, 35% increased movement speed. This is a very fast build. You want to get as much as movement speed as you can. And then just resistances. You can also get the lab enchant with attack speed, which I just didn't have the time to get since I just recently swapped in these boots. Then my flasks. Divine Mana Flask of Warding, the most important flask, the most important line. Flask effect is not removed at full mana. So as you can see, without flask we cannot attack. We shoot few times and we are out of mana. So this flask means that once our mana is full, mana keeps regening as long as the flask is going. Then a simple Quicksilver with movement speed to go even faster. Then Dying Sun. This flask is only used for AoE. So plus 2 additional projectiles don't really mean anything at single target. We use that because of lack of any other good flasks. Instead of this you can use like a Granite Flask for some armor, but I prefer just some AoE. Then Sulfur Flask, straight up some damage, Consecrated Ground also, and I have attack speed on it. Divine Life Flask, which gives you instant recovery and immunity to bleeding, pretty mandatory also. Then let's head to my skill tree. I'm gonna explain some choices that are a bit different to other people's choices that are also high level on PoE.Ninja. First, let's start with Ascendancy, which is pretty standard. Nature's Reprisal, some chaos damage, and AoE. Then Nature's Adrenaline, movement speed, attack speed. Nature's Boom, this gives you flask charges every few seconds. And then Master Alchemist, immune to elemental ailments. Pretty nice quality of life since you always have flasks up. Then let's start from here. I have Divine Flesh, which is obtained from Glorious Vanity. What does this give? This means that 50% of elemental damage is taken as chaos damage. And also I get plus 5 to maximum chaos resistance. This means that my chaos resistance goes to, well, in this case 81 because I use Method of the Madness, which is nice synergy with Glorious Vanity. This means that 50% of that of my elemental damage taken is actually taken through my 81% resistance, since as you can see I have 81% chaos resistance while my other resistances are 75%. So this makes me take less damage, which is pretty nice. And then you can divine the Glorious Vanity to give some decent nodes like damage over time or AoE or like projectile damage, chaos res, whatever you need and whatever you can get. Of course I grabbed the full Constitution. On the way here I take Exceptional Performance. The duration helps nice because it makes pods last longer, which means more damage on bosses, but having too much of duration is never good. That's why, for example, I do not go for Potency of Will, because in theory conditionally it gives more damage, but in mapping it doesn't give, because you kind of one-shot everything as you run, as you've seen in the map example. Then Avatar of the Hunt, this is the thing I take last, so since I'm level 98 I start taking this at level 94. We get some life here, Herbalism, which also is a pathing towards Master Fletcher, a big damage node with some attack speed, which is pretty nice. I take 1 Frenzy because it's 2 points and it's close. Then Phase Acrobatic, Large Cluster Jewel, which gives a lot of damage, so it's pretty mandatory. I have Wicked Paul, Unwearingly Evil, and Unholy Grace, which all give chaos damage, and like one of them gives duration, one of them gives attack speed. Then I have 2 medium cluster jewels. One of them is damage, which is exposure therapy, dot, and the wicked ball, again, chaos damage and duration. And then I have one with some utility based one, so spiked concussion, which gives attack speed during flask effect, and then alchemist genius on flask use, which you use flasks all the time, so this is uptime all the time, and this gives you 20% of effect of your flasks, and of course more charges, which again makes you sustain flasks all the time, and then peak vigor for some HP. I also get Hunter's Gambit, again chaos dot, damage with bows, life. Then I have Method to the Madness, which gives +1 max resistance and some damage, so it's a nice synergy with my Glorious Vanity for that a bit less damage taken and also damage from same node. Just some life from Blood Siphon. And then we go up to Growth and Decay, which is damage over time again. And then Written in Blood, more life, which I like to have my builds over 6.5k life, just to make them a bit tankier and a bit harder to die, so we can level easily. And this build, with my current 6.6k life, can easily get to level 100. I sadly don't have the time, but you can do it if you decide to play the build a lot. Then my Watcher's Eye. I have Malevolence Dot, which is the only damage Watcher's Eye you can get. Then I also have Vitality, which is a nice quality of life since it gives life gain for each enemy you hit. Even though your hit chance is a bit smaller, like around 75%, which is not too bad, but since you attack like 5 times in a second and you hit a lot, it still helps nicely and saves you in many situations. Then I'm gonna show you my normal jewels, Reading jewels. They have twice attack speed, so attack speed with bows and normal attack speed, and chaos damage over time multi, and increased max life. This is a perfect 4-stat jewel which you would want to have on every single piece, but if you cannot afford them just yet, then you can get something like this, a 3-stat attack speed max life dot, or area damage, or something like that, which is also fine, but not the best, of course. And then I want to go through some leveling tricks. Many times people, when they explain leveling, they're like, oh, you need to get these uniques, you need to get them, you need to get tabula, so you're easier. But what if it's a league start? So Toxic Rain is a very simple build. You don't need much. You just go to Act 1 Tarklay and you buy a bow. You buy a short bow, 1.5 attack speed. You don't need anything else, so as you can see, only 3 scrolls of wisdom. You can equip this bow and it's gonna carry you through everything. So you can, okay, if you want some mods, you can get let's say you can get attack speed on it, you can get damage over time on it, you can get +1 bow gems, and then you can socket those your Toxic Rain gems in that bow. Rest of the gear is just life and resistances. So your skill tree is based, so you have to get damage on skill tree and then life and resistances on your gear. Let's hop onto the POB so we see how does exactly this build work and how do we level it. So as you can see, starting levels, we start up here and we go towards Method of the Madness, which is first damage we get. Then we go up to the Blood Siphon to get some HP, Entropy, Fangs of the Viper, Resourcefulness, Lethal Assault, Cold-Hearted, Growth and Decay, and then we get Written in Blood, and then we get Entropy. And this is a big breaking point. Around level 20, you should have this, and this is already a lot of damage. And then you want to head down here to Revenge of the Haunted, get some HP, then again damage, Hunter's Gambit. Then normally I just get acrobatics. I don't get phase acrobatics instantly, but you can get phase acrobatics instantly, feel a bit less tanky. Then I get Master Fletcher, again damage, 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 and then we get Herbalism. At this point you're level 40, maybe a bit lower than 40, and you have a lot of damage, and you just know you start pathing towards some life. So we go towards Avatar of the Hunt, which we get here, and then we go up to the exceptional performance and we grab first constitution out. At this point you're level 62 and you want to get a proofing chemistry, and then you're 65. You get third lab, your damage should be insane. You should probably have ailment immunity, so let me showcase you the Pathfinder ascendancy. So you take a nature's reprisal first, then you take nature's boom for flask, and then you can choose between nature's adrenaline and ailment immunity. Since I personally prefer going fast and get that movement speed, attack speed, I choose a nature's adrenaline, but you can also choose Master Alchemist depending on what you value more. So you can just take between those two as third and fourth lab. And then as you can see, we are on level 65. You get third lab. In case you take material chemistry, you have ailment immunity. You have some nice HP. Let's check how much HP you can have. Around 4k, which is pretty good for Act 10 Tier 1 maps, depending on how fast your progress is. And then you can just start getting the jewels, like as you can see, standard jewel, attack speed, max life, something like that. Just a 2-stat day 1. You can easily even alt spam that. Then get more jewels, finish the phase acrobatics, maybe get some movement speed, finish the constitution to get that life. As you can see, almost 5k already. Around, yeah, this is exactly level 80. And now, once you start transitioning into higher level maps, you get some levels, you get some currency, you want to drop Entropy and then start getting the large cluster jewels that I have once you can afford them. This is a big damage boost, so this is a pretty nice thing to get. Also, make sure to work on your bow. So once you get some levels and some currency, you can start crafting your bow, and the easiest way to doing that is Shrieking Essence of Dread. As you can see, it gives bow +2 level of socketed bow gems, which guarantees you +2 bow gems, and then you can easily hit your bow, possibly, if possible, short bow or ticket bow, preferably 6-link, but whatever you can get, you use that. As you can see, I've hit 1 essence and got socketed bow gems. I got attack speed and then crafted chaos damage or time multi. This is a nice 3-stat bow. Of course, if you get plus bow gems on your bow, then you have to use your gems from Toxic Rain in that bow, so you get the benefits of the +2 gems. Also, so you can get like a 5-link and drop efficacy, because you start use efficacy instead of empower, which you cannot obtain. But once you get the currency, you should transition into empower level 3 at least, so don't use level 1 or 2 empower. And yeah, that should be everything about the build. I'm sure there will be some questions, so if you have any questions, you can type them in the comments. You can join the Discord. I will leave the link in description. You can comment my Twitch, you can ask. I stream there 3 times a week. I try to be as helpful as I can, and I'll gladly answer your questions. If you have any suggestions how to make my build better, you feel free to leave them in the comments. And yeah, I will for the end just showcase a Sirus fight, which is just an example of how insane this build can get. Of course, you need to invest a lot of currency, and you need to know how to fight Sirus to have a easy experience with it. And yeah, that will be all from me. See you all, have a nice day.